Hello, Dahi here from TimeStep Softworks. Welcome to the 20th development video for Vigilantes. Vigilantes Alpha 8 is now available. It's been uploaded to Humble, Indie Game Stand and IndieDB, so it's available right now if you'd like to check it out. In development video 19 I covered what I'd done as the first half of Alpha Release 8, and just to summarise, I added a new enemy, the Survivalist Sharpshooter, I added a new AI, the Stalker AI, which basically stalks the character around the map, typically suited for long distance characters like a sniper, and I've added a new combat area. But moving on to what I'm going to cover now in the roughly the last week of development. The most obvious thing you'll notice is that silhouettes are now for your enemy and player characters now show when there's an obstruction in the way, and I found that in maps where there are a lot of walls or buildings, you could end up basically not seeing what was happening for a while. Now you could of course go to camera focus mode or switch computer controlled camera off and you could follow it yourself, but I think this is a good enough addition. I've also added incendiary grenades, and I'm just going to throw one now. And the character's throw skill isn't all that great, so we'll just have to see how it goes. And there we go, we've hit both of them. That's quite a lucky throw. And I'll end the turn. So incendiary grenades work. They do more damage than an IED, like an improvised explosive device of the same level, but they do that damage over turn. So it's done 3 damage. I think I probably will actually increase that, but it will do it over multiple turns. So it actually does more damage than the IED, but over more time. It can also be used to deny the enemy movement, so you could potentially block off areas of the map to force the enemy to go round, or you could possibly also deny them cover. So say the enemy wanted to take cover here, you could throw an IED there and the enemy would be very unlikely to try to use that cover, because any moves by the AI into fire are very heavily penalised. So moving on, another thing I've done is a developer and a Twitch streamer, Ready Play Games, pointed out that the time it took for enemies to make melee attacks, there's quite of a delay between them. So I've decreased that quite considerably, especially say when they're moving or multiple attacks. So that's sped up quite a bit, and that should help the pacing, especially when more enemies are levels with larger enemies. It doesn't seem like an awful lot, but perhaps 3/4 of a second for each attack with a lot of enemies on the screen, it kind of stacks up and slows down the gameplay. I'm just going to show you the rest of the additions from the main menu. I'm just going to load my way back there. One of the first things is I've added some additional controls for moving items. Before you just basically drag it and decide how many, and that is kind of a little cumbersome. So this only works between main menus, so it'll work between your home inventory and your personal. It'll work between the shop inventory and the cart, but it won't work with equipped items because the item, it doesn't know where to put the items if there's multiple choices. I may look at something like that later, but just to show how this works. So if I single click on it, if I left click, it'll move a single item. You'll see them down the bottom there. And yeah, it wasn't updating the label. That's something I'm going to have to do for Alpha 9. That's the first thing on the list now. So I think the problem is actually just specific to here. So let me just buy some bullets, and I will show you in. Oops. Okay. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is updating properly there. I must have just missed something in the code for the shop inventory, but I'll fix that for Alpha 9. So to explain now how it works, if you left click, it will transfer 1 item. If you hold down shift and click, it will transfer 5, and if you hold down control, it will transfer all. So that, with the likes of filtering the items and transferring all of them, you know, that should help reduce the amount of time it takes at home. Now I'm looking at some other things too. I haven't kind of worked out the details of them, but I'm hoping to add a reload all for perhaps individual characters and all your characters, and do the same for repair all, so you can just do these things with a single click rather than, you know, multiple clicks. The idea is just to improve the pacing of the game and save you little time in these kind of maintenance jobs. I've also added a new armor, or well, specifically you can upgrade the existing armor, and to do that you need to complete all of the damage type upgrades. So this will increase the protection against explosives, so I'm just going to go and do that, and this will increase the protection against firearms, so I have the component there. I'm just going to go and craft that. So now I have the option of upgrading the armor. It's got, say, you know, an armor with better protection, so we can see it's 2, 1 and 2. So I'm just going to go and quickly purchase these now. 1, 2 and 2. Okay, and we go back to the inventory, we go to the upgrade armor, we click this and we craft. So now we return, the armor is a new type and it's got a higher armor class to reduce the chance you get hit, and it's got a higher percentage of protection for when you do get hit, and also higher durability. One of the last things is I fixed a bug with Ray Case. He had a particular perk called an eye for weakness, and this was causing an intermittent error. So this is kind of one of the problems of adding, you know, kind of a unique perk, and especially something like Eye for Weakness is quite different than how the other perks work. So I had to write additional code for it, and then there's a risk of, with it just being one character, that I mightn't catch it. Especially it's just one character and it's only triggered in certain circumstances, so that one's a bit hard to catch. It was causing a crash. So that's also been fixed now. Now one thing I actually haven't got around to fixing, I noticed last night that the reachable tile display isn't always showing the correct tiles that you can move to, and this seems to be in particular on the new map. Now the reason I haven't fixed it is I had kind of done the testing for Alpha 8 and I was ready to release it. With something like this reachable tile display, if I were to go in and I could work on it, and then it may seem like it's fixed, but there's a possibility without more extensive testing that I could introduce a bigger bug. So I decided just to hold off on that, and there's a very good chance this is going to be fixed for Alpha 9. And that's pretty much it for this development video. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. I will always get back to you. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.